Hi from Nick and
hi from Martin.
Martin tries hard to like do his television face, but anyway. Right, okay, so today we're going to analyze a property in Sheffield, and there's a bit of a backstory to this. We are dealing with an estate agent called Yopa, I think it is, from memory. I think it is Yopa on this case, and turns out the vendor changed their plans at the last minute, so cancelled viewings at the last moment, and the agent didn't call me because I had some excuse about, sorry, I didn't have the correct phone number, even though I had a call from the agent. Anyway, whatever. So we've reorganized the viewing for today. The reason we're doing the assessment is because there's not much condition risk with this property. It's in fairly good order, and we just want to be quick off the mark with this whole thing. So with that in mind, let's get into it. Because as you know, condition is just one little bit of a whole story with any property. And put Martin over there in the corner so you can see him. And here we go. Now, these are low resolution pictures. Therefore, what I'm doing is I'm pulling together clues about the property to give me a sense of what's going on generally with it. It's £130,000. Now, that price is driven, I would say, largely by the location, and we're going to talk about that later. This is nicely done. You can tell because nice curtain rings, not these super economy ones, nicer ones. You can also see that the lines here between the two colors are cut cleanly. That means somebody actually knew what they were doing when they were decorating. And the flooring is relatively modern with this kind of modern light grey, warm grey look. And that's decent laminate flooring as well. Again, it's that old story. You add up the clues, then you make a general, have a general opinion on what's going on. Again, same thing going on here, that they've spent a little extra. They've got a reasonably nice cabinet, nice lampshades, etc. These people obviously care about the property. The doors are reasonably good as well. That's decent ironmongery. You may not be able to see it, but it's quite decent. Plugs are high up off the ground. Now that's a really good sign. The reason that's good news is because when properties are rewired, they have to follow modern building regs. And one of the modern building regulations is plugs have to be a certain distance from the ground. And I'm just looking at my ones. So yeah, same kind of height. That's good. It's got modern wiring. So that's a massive point in its favor. And the radiators look really modern, or, new. So this property has had an extensive renovation, and condition-wise, it's very low risk. It's also got these clay tiles. One of the reasons I like these roofs is because the tiles aren't actually nailed into the battens. So you have battens, and then let me show you a picture, just to show you a picture. And clay tiles. Replacing clay tiles. Oops, thanks for the help, Google. And clay tiles, here's a clay tile, just a random thing. I'm just going into a little bit of extra for you because, hey, we all live, we all learn. And you can see that you've got pinholes here, but generally speaking, people don't pin them in. What they do is they slot the tiles in. You've got these little fixings, and then gravity does its magic as they sit against the wooden batten. So it's all simple stuff. The great thing is, there you go. There's pictures of tiles. You have the battens and you have the tiles. Anyway, just getting back to this. Clay tiles, they all look okay. Not many have been replaced. There have been some replacements here on the edging. The point is that that's a decent looking roof and it's easy to repair. This property is in great condition. So I would be really surprised if there was a condition issue found when the viewer person goes and does their thing today. There it is.
Yeah.
That's that. Now let's look at the rest of the story, because as we know, property conditions only one bit of a whole thing. Lots of ex-local authority around here. And Martin, are you able to bring up the map so we can see the extent of the thing, you know, the property data mapping?
Yeah.
And yeah.
But
so,
a lot of our ex-social house, you still have a social house, but a lot of the ex, so which is great.
This is your classic kind of lower middle class area. So it's dominated by C2s and DEs and so on. So it's like a relatively poor-ish area.
Yeah.
But it's also relatively low. Well, there's a bit of crime going on there nearby, but overall, crime is okay.
Yeah.
Around generally, it's okay.
Yeah, so, but this area is like it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, and it's not far away from like a shopping mall, which is nice. And it's also really nice. It has a lot of. It's really like a highway. It's not really a highway, but it's a highway where it's a bigger road where we have a lot of easy connection with Sheffield. It's a nice area.
Yeah, it's just quite nice to.
Yeah, it's a 15 minutes driving to Sheffield or 23 minutes by transport, which is nice.
Yes, it's a very, what I call, inauspicious area. It's just like a place people live.
And they will love to rent, just because it's also close to a big supermarket, big schools. So a nice school. So.
And what's encouraging is there's quite a lot of building work going on. If you look at this property next door, for example, they've redone the roof. When people invest like this, it's a good thing. And this is interesting here. Look, extra big house here. Oh, I see. So these were already built thus. I remember we bid for a couple of properties like these ones here with the 3 windows and so on, and bidding was intense. So I expect there's going to be a lot of competition for this property. And therefore, the real question is it worth, what is it worth? That's actually the real question. Anyway, altogether, so far, so good. Then we're into the next question, which is all to do with the capital growth and how worthwhile it is bidding on this. Now, I've changed the mapping a little bit, and I'll show you here. So I'll zoom out a little bit so that we declutter the map a bit. And if we look at S5 in general, it's pretty high turnover, pretty good yield, pretty high growth, but the growth is patchy. And you can see here, down here, it's very high, here it's very good, here not so good. So then the question is, what's going on, why? And largely, I think it's a lot of cheaper property for sale, and investors are buying these things up. People are buying them up because they represent value.
And also because it's a lot of like social houses, and they will sell cheap. I mean, they buy from the government cheap, and now they're selling for higher amount.
So yeah, that has an effect on the market. So, you know, the right to buy, people are still buying basically, and they buy at a huge discount and resell. And you always get more of this kind of thing going on at this point in the property cycle, because people think, oh, I could make a load of money. I'd have £60,000, more money than I've ever had in my life, and off they go. From a growth point of view, I would say this area is probably going to rise another 20. So let's say the median house price is 130, and this property is basically bang on that nail, as it were, at the 130-ish mark, I think. The way I see it working is you buy this for the yield, and if you get a bit of growth, but remember there will be a property crash and just prepare for that. So it's in the last crash, it declined 13%, which is in the kind of middle zone, really. And I would say overall, the likely outcome of this property is that it will not see great capital growth long term. So really you're down to, is it worth it from a cash return point of view? You will see growth. Now, I better just do a tiny bit of explaining on this because it's a big topic. So if you've never seen the video, seen me talk about this before. Markets work in cycles. Each arrow represents a cycle going back to 1845. There are cycles. So this is the last cycle from 2003, and you can see the average price. Now this is not inflation adjusted, and it shows you the last crash. And on average, depending on where you buy, if you buy sensibly, last time around the market will have crashed nominally, in other words, in absolute terms, 5% to 15%. Any more than that, nah. But then there is this whole issue about rebalancing. So if it crashed really heavy here, then the next time it crashes, it may be less. It's this odd thing where markets kind of rebalance over very long periods of time, and they naturally find their level. The point is that we're now in this we're in the cycle. So this is another way of looking at it, which is affordability, percentage of income in mortgage payments. And we're entering a hot zone now. It's only a question of time before things crash. Then the question is, well, what's going to happen long term? Well, the answer is it's not going to be like the 70s, because it was a very different financial age. It's much more like the 40s, where you have high government debt, quite a lot of supply side inflation. In other words, lack of supply driving inflation, supply chain issues, World War and all that. We had COVID, we have Brexit. It's different issues, but the same net. And then also we've got the other big one, which of course is decarbonizing our economy. In other words, going green, and that's going to be a huge thing. And we've got a reversal of globalization. So we've got 4 big issues, which is akin to World War II, and therefore it's low interest rates for a long time because of the high government debt, but it's going to probably be high inflation for a long time in bouts, much like World War II. So the red line represents inflation. Right, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're buying somewhere like Sheffield, likelihood is properties will increase in line with inflation. Interest rates will likely remain low. Inflation will probably be, let's say we say interest rates of 1% plus, you pay 4% if you're overseas, 4 point something percent if you're an international buyer, 4.29 I think is the number that comes to mind. But interest rates will be running at about inflation will be running at probably 6 to 10% annually. So in other words, the real value of your borrowings in real terms is decreasing 5% a year for a long time. Therefore, even if you don't see big capital growth, the fact that your borrowings are worth less and less every single year is a good thing. And therefore you come out good in the end. And that's why it's, as long as you get the yield on these kind of properties, then it kind of works. Plus the condition has to be reasonable. So it doesn't work if you're looking at a £130,000 house and you have to rip the whole thing apart to redo it. These people will never really see a return on their investment in the renovation work they've done. Not really, because they will have spent £15,000 to £20,000 on doing this place up nicely. So there it is. It's that's how it works. And I think we go over to you, Martin.
Yeah, I will share my screen now. We're going to talk about the location. So maybe you cannot see, but it's red.
Yeah, I see it all. It's looking beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So basically, as I said, it's really close to a school, but it's not really close that it will have a noise. It's really close to a other school as well. It's really close to a supermarket, large supermarket, which is amazing. Also, you have a lot of like a fast food here, and on this like a main road, a highway, and also you have a Lidl, which is also great. So basically, this location will attract a lot of people. Also, you have like a green space here. So and also it's a huge shopping center over here. So the location is like great in for Sheffield, and also it's like 26 minutes. The public transport by driving is around 15 minutes. Last time as I checked, yes, 15 minutes by driving. So it's not really central, but it's still central Sheffield, and you have everything around what you need for living. So it's a good location. And also you have park green space here. Also, you have a lot of new builds already built and coming in, not really close, but still close. And that shows that the property, that this area is improving. So that's great. Also, this property, as we said, it have a little bit small back garden, but I think it's not an issue for renting, and it have a huge front garden, which is great. This property, these properties around, you can see a lot of them have extensions. So if it's a social house, they cannot extend the property. So basically, a lot of them are resale. They're ex-social houses, and how we know that, we have a property data, which is loading. Okay, so here it is. So basically, all of these properties are have a blue polygon. They're ex-social. So this one is social house. This one is social. This not. So basically, like 20% of them are or less are social houses or ex-social house.
And the good thing about these kind of areas, by the way, is that everyone gets on perfectly nicely. The crime is low. It's just a nice neighborhood, nice houses as well.
Yeah, so it's a really good investment, in my opinion. Also, it's small, it's 60 meters square almost, and it's a freehold. Last purchase 2019 for 100, which
I wonder
guess
if that's when they did the work, because it is really recently modernized.
Yeah, I will check. So basically, what we can see that both prices, and we can see 2019. So, yes, here it is. We can find. So here it is. Oh, it was already renovated.
Interesting. And what was the previous sale price?
And that doesn't.
It was 100, and then going back further.
No, they don't have. It was. I think the owner it was social house. The owner lived there.
Yeah, they renovated it, and
they
then
renovated and resell it. And now I don't know. Maybe the person want to move, or it's small property. Maybe he have more kids, and now it have only 2 bedrooms. So maybe they want to move away. Yeah. On the market.
The garden was in much better condition back then.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So also, yeah. So about the risk, this EPCD is 68 score, which if you can be C. The risk, it has medium risk of surface water, but there is no any risk in this. I will show you in the map, and there is no river, and it's very low risk. And
Sheffield is very hilly, and that's why there's
but the insurance will cover. So basically, on the main road, if it have a rain, the rain here. So basically, on this road, it will pass the rain, and I don't think there is an issue because it have it's on the slope. Also, you have as you can see, and also you have a fence which
it's a non-issue.
Yeah, it's a non-issue. It's like the insurance will cover. So you don't need to be worried about that. And there is no coal mining issues around. All this place is safe. So basically, you don't need to be worried about that. So the property is in safety place, because we already checked that, but just to let you know that this property is safe about it. It will not have issue with coal mining. Yeah, so about the comparables, the rent will be 675, 695, around that. So, but I think until you purchase, it will rent for 700, because it will take at least 3 months. So
that's a huge yield.
Yeah, it's a huge yield.
So can you just, sorry to dwell upon this. So there's two things. If we start with the rent and just really validate this thoroughly, because I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's so basically, you can see this is the newest little property, and you can see that in bad condition. It's 118, but it needs like renovation.
Yeah, so our specimen property is probably going to go up to 145 or something. I think they're asking for 130 to 140 range.
Yeah, around it will go 142, I guess.
Mm.
And this is 130, but you can see the condition is still old walls. So the budget.
Yeah. The thing about these kind of properties which are in immaculate condition is that owner occupiers love them, because they can mortgage them right up.
Yeah, you can
so
see
the only so the only reason they wouldn't, the only reason they would really back off is because it's in a local authority housing area.
Yeah, so yeah, you can see that this kind of type, not same type of properties, sell. They will sell cheaper, but this kind of properties, like solid bricks and nice, they're at least selling for 130, 140. And I will show you the sale properties. Basically, this is our property, this one, but this is terrace house, this terrace house. I just want, because this is, it's not the same. Okay, I guess this is the same. But this is sold property, so sold property, 2 beds. Yeah, you can see, and the condition are not the same. And maybe it's not large, it's same. So inside, it's still okay, but our property is better, I think. So
yes, it's better decorated.
But we don't know how much it's sold. It's just sold. 130 was the asking price.
I think there'll be a lot of competition here.
Yeah, I think as well. So maybe this. Okay, maybe this. Yeah, I think this maybe is a property, which we can see. Yeah, but this terrace house, let's see. So let's see.
So right, what's next?
The
rental yield. The rent. Why are you confident it's going to get 700?
Okay, I'll show you.
And for anyone watching, this is Rightmove Plus, so it's what you get. What you get when you
can see it.
If you're an estate agent or a professional, you can access this thing.
795 was rent, but I think this is like just not. But this is one. This terrace house was rent 695.
Yeah, so you're right. 700 for this property in that kind of general location.
Yeah. This you have also this because it doesn't have. It's a good one. This 675.
Should we do our yield calcs?
Yeah, I think 675 will be the minimum what it can rent, I think.
Okay, well, let's do the numbers, and I'll start sharing.
Yeah, let's go with the minimum first, and after with the rest.
And here we are here. So the first thing is the price. So I think they're looking for one.
Wait, I'm checking.
Guide price 130, 140. So if they get 142.5 or 140,
I think
so. The way it tends to work when people have a guide price like this, they are looking to achieve a certain target, and if they get the target number, then they'll go, okay, we'll sell. Whereas it's Whereas in other types of sale, they just put it out at a lower price, get a swarm of people, they all bid against each other, go to best and final, and then it's like an auction. So they're broadly the two ways it works, and I suspect that if we came back at them with a sensibly high offer, they'd consider it seriously, and then we'd be good. So then the question is, what's it worth? All right, now I'm going to go 142,500 just because. Yeah. Now we said the renovation. Well, the renovation is going to be minimal, I think.
Let's give 3,000 the worst scenario.
All right. And the rent, did you say 700?
Go 675. But until the completion, it will rent 700. But let's say 675.
Yeah. So 5.77 gross rentable at 700. 5.57. So 5.5. It's like.
But it will rent for 700.
Well, let's just try that then. I'm just doing a more positive scenario here.
Yeah, and if you can take
5.85.
If you can take it for 140, it will be great.
I don't think you would.
141 maybe.
I want to be a little more pessimistic about this because I think it's better to assume the worst on how much it's going to cost and be a bit kind of middling with everything else. So the point is that it's likely to have a yield of between 5.96% and 5.5%. Yeah. And if you have a little bit of luck, you'll be like somewhere like 5.6, 5.7%.
Yeah.
And then that's good. So I'm just going to do one more thing. I'm just going to change this to 145,000 and 5.7, assuming that you can get your 700 in.
I think you will.
I think that's a realistic view. Then the question is, right, if you buy it for 145, will the property be worth more than this in 3 years' time? Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Considering the part of the cycle, but you will have a crash, and you've got to get through that. In the long term, because of the high inflation, low interest rate scenario that I foresee, now interest rates are likely to increase a bit, probably in the region of 2.5% base, but then we will probably see a steady 10% inflation. So it makes the economics of property ownership work. Even for this, which isn't like a capital growth hotspot. But overall, you can say that the way it's working with Sheffield is that there are certain hotspots further in, and as they get overbought, then it cascades out. And this is a consistent theme that I see through Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, any city. It's always the same rough pattern. All right, let's score it and let's finish up. Condition exceptional, 4.1. Location?
It's really good. For renting point of view, it's 4.3. Really nice.
Area? Not a great area, really. Yeah. What do we say for the area?
3.8, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Crime, it's okay. It's actually about average. Just they're a little kind of not hot spots, but warm spots on crime fairly nearby, but not on this road because crime is very localized, as you see from the mapping. Demographic, it's on the low end. 3.8.
Yeah, it's not the best area, not the best, but it's still good, I think.
Yeah, it's just where some person who's a factory manager or something like that would want to live. It's not high class, but it's certainly not low class either.
Yeah, but
capital
some
growth,
teacher, maybe some teacher, because you have a lot of schools around. So it will rent yes. Really nice.
This is not a capital growth hotspot. A lot of 3.8s. anyway,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. And yield?
It's everything about how much you can take. If you take it for 135, the yield will be amazing. But if you take it for 145, the yield will not be the best. But I think it's good. 4.1, yeah, it's good yield. Because
Yeah.
usually what I've noticed in Sheffield is that the yield nowadays is not the best. But for this property, it's good. So usually the yield in Sheffield is around 5 right now,
Yeah.
5.2. And for this is good. So it's a good yield for this property in Sheffield.
Because we're dealing with a range of yield outcomes and we don't know what the actual sell price is, I'm going to make it 4.2 because with a bit of luck, it'll go the right way.
Yeah.
This now we've hit, we haven't hit 100 properties yet that we've assessed. We've assessed hundreds of properties over the years, but you know, in this structure. And this is an okay score, actually. On balance, it's a nice property. If it ranked on the bottom third, then it would not be so good. But if you notice, the scores are quite tight. So even if it's a donkey property, as it were, it's only 3.8 versus 3.99. It's very little in it. And this is because we do an awful lot of filtering before we even get to viewing. So on the whole, any property that we get to view is good. There's probably only a few that are really bad. Yeah. But on the whole, everything is above 3. And for good reason, because we are thorough. Anyway, there it is. Let's just finally summarize. What's your opinion before I go on? It's mine.
I think it's a good one, but I'm just afraid of owner-occupiers to bid high for this. But
it's all about the price, isn't it?
Yeah. And if you can take it for 135, as I said, it will work amazing. But if you take it 142, it will still work good, but not amazing. But still good deal for investment. So especially if you have for or it's a first, it's safe. It's safe because it doesn't have any risks. So it's just buy, rent it out, and wait a few years to refinance, and you will have a nice deal.
So the thing with this property is it's sold through Yopa or Strike, I can't remember which. It's Yopa. And they are one of these hybrid estate agents who essentially steer you into the vendor, the seller of the property. So you don't have people who really know what the hell they're doing in control of the situation. And therefore, it's all a bit of a wild card thing. And when the vendor is doing the viewings, which is the case, they're much more susceptible to that old pitch from the owner-occupier, which goes along the lines of, I really need a home and I've got 12 children, they're all desperate, they're all living on the street and whatever. I'm being a bit ridiculous, but the point is that they love that they are likely to be swayed by sentiment. And what they don't realize is that when you buy this property, you will house somebody who can't afford to buy their own home. And you're doing something good for society because people need to rent houses, by the way. But owner-occupiers don't really understand that. So the cards are slightly stacked against investors in this case. However, I think it's worth making offers, but definitely I'll make the inquiries if you want, and I'll talk to various people, we'll find out what's really going on and see if we can make an offer. But I think it's worth offering on. I just don't know how this one's going to pan out. All right, that's me. So thank you very much.
Thank you.